Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
Welcome, everyone, to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, as always, presented by our wonderful friends over at ScentLok. ScentLok and Bear have a rich history, and I have fallen in love with ScentLok. Two things I'm really excited about. The Reactor heated vest is back in stock, which is a game-changing piece. You can go into colder weather with less layers, and as all bow hunters know, the less bulky your clothing can be, the better. So I would highly encourage you, if you've not checked out the Reactor heated vest, now's your time because it's back in stock. Another thing I'm super excited about, ScentLok's new colorway is Blackout. So they're introducing that in their BE1 series, which again is fantastic news because if you hunt from a ground blind or an elevated block blind or something, black is the way to go. And so I'm incredibly excited to have all of these garments offered in Blackout. So when I'm hunting in a ground blind, which you guys, if you've listened to this, know I'm a fan of ground blinds, I can wear black and have good clothing on. So I would highly encourage you to go check out our friends over at ScentLok for the new Reactor vest that's back in stock and the new Blackout colorway. This right here, gentlemen, is the most exciting episode of the year. I get more questions, requests, and excitement about this episode than any other one, which really makes a guy feel good. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get fired up for you or what you're doing. They only get fired up for new bows. So this is the most exciting episode of the year. We're talking the new 2023 lineup. I've got Ryan Schutz, and I've got Ted. Do I say, is it Boester?
Beester.
Beester.
Yeah.
I knew I'd say it wrong, dude. Why didn't I ask you beforehand?
Hey,
Ted, Ryan's old news. Everybody, if you've listened to the podcast, knows who Ryan is. We just had him on, what was it, a couple months ago to talk about the Adapt with the Hunting Public crew. But Ted is not new to the Bear Archery family, but coming back to the Bear Archery family. So it's the first time on the show. Ted, give us a quick introduction to yourself, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, so I started back at Bear as a design engineer, roughly in the Anarchy days. So that was, it's been a little while. I was here for about 9.5 years. I left to pursue some school stuff and another product management job. Recently, about 3 months ago, this position opened up and I expressed interest. I said I wanted to come back and met with John and the team here, and we worked it out. I'm back and excited to be working on these bows again and just the category in general. Love the outdoors. Real excited to be back.
I don't know how you can't be excited. Like I say that genuinely, like, to come back to a company that's about to celebrate 90 years of legendary bow making. How can you not get fired up? Like, I don't, it blows me away how people can't get fired up about Bear Archery and the history they have and the bows they're producing. It blows me away. So we're celebrating 90 years. And in my opinion, having looked at these bows, I haven't got to shoot them yet, but having talked to a couple of guys who have shot them, this really is kind of the year that could, in fact, change Bear Archery forever. Is the verbiage I've heard used. And so I'm incredibly excited to talk about these bows. I'm incredibly excited to dive into these bows. I've got the catalog. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see us kind of just work through this catalog and talk about all of the new bows. So if you're listening on a streaming platform and you want to see the bows we're talking about, I would just encourage you to go to YouTube, search Bear Archery, and you'll find the podcast there rather easily. So Ryan, let's start with maybe what everybody wants to know: compounds. So let me share this catalog. That way we can kind of work through it. Which, if you've been watching social, you've already heard the names. You've already seen some pictures and some specs. But we're going to skip down to...
Go to the Cruiser G3
let's see here. So that would be down here, correct?
Yes. It'd be... Oh, I don't have page numbers on mine. Keep going. You're getting there. They're going to get a little sneak peek at everything at the same time. That's good.
Right there.
Right there.
All right. The new Cruiser G3. You guys are all familiar with the G2s. A really fun bow. We shot them at a total archery challenge. We shot them at 90 yards. Just an absolute blast to shoot. My kids love a G2. Now we have a G3. So Ryan, walk me through the G3 and what's different from the G2.
So what we wanted to do here was really improve the cam system. So there was originally the Cruiser Lt, then the Cruiser, and then the Cruiser G2, and now the Cruiser G3. So we really do like how we're set up with the limbs and the riser. So we didn't decide to change anything there. Kind of what you were just saying, this bow is so light in your hand. So any kind of new archers, I mean, it can easily be under 4 pounds, even dressed, depending on the accessories you put on it. So 30 inches, 6.5 inch brace height, 315 speed, crazy adjustment. So 14 inches to 30 inches in the draw length, and then 10 to 70 pounds. New to this, different than the G2, is now this is a 75% let off, or the G2 was 70, the new G3 is 75. Just trying to make that cam a little bit easier for new archers. Also on the cam, it's mostly cosmetic, though. We improved how you set this up, so it's just a little bit visually easy to see. There's a dial on this, like the G2, that tells you, are you 23, are you 24, are you 25? We just improved how those lettering on it, make it a little bit easier to read. Also, we wanted to change the lookup. Traditionally on our Bear bows, we go like with black limbs and then a decorated riser. So we swapped it here. So they're all going to be black risers with different decorations on the limbs. The catalog page, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see that we're going to do Fredbear Camo, Mossy Oak DNA, True Timber Strata, kind of some fun colors too, with like Wildfire, that's kind of more of like reds and oranges and black, and then Toxic that has some of that green and yellow, and then Muddy Girl that has some of that purple and pink in there, and then of course an all black look. Also want to hit on this bow too is this is our first look at, we're starting to change what comes in our RTH packages, so our ready to hunt packages. So still get all great Trophy Ridge products, just a couple of new things we've started to put on there. One new one that you'll see on this one is a new stabilizer. It's just a little bit shorter, stiffer stabilizer. Looks really good. Still has rubber out front to help take some vibration out, but just trying to make the package keep up with the packages and putting some new accessories on them when we can. But should be a really good bow that really can fit everybody. Sometimes people think this is just youth, but Dylan, you did a good job of saying we've seen people hunt with this a lot. You're not really going to get fatigued carrying this bow all across the mountains if you wanted to.
I had a friend, and he has a video of his 4-year-old daughter shooting this, and then same day he took it out and shot a doe with it, and he's, I think, 6'4", maybe 6'4", 260, and so he took it out and shot a doe with it that evening after his 4-year-old daughter had just shot it. And so really just showing how incredibly versatile this bow is. Now, as we scroll up, you're going to see the legit. It's in my opinion, that bow is one of the greatest bows ever made on the planet Earth. My wife shoots it and she loves it. I actually tried to get her. As I scroll past the prowess, I tried. I'm like, babe, listen, they just came out with a new bow. It's for girls. It looked pretty. It's got electric blue. And she said, no, I love my one I have right now. I'm like, okay, whatever. So couldn't even get her off of it. Now on the Adapt, Ryan, run us through this. Now before you run us through the quick details, let me just make note. If you jump back to episode 106, Time to Adapt, me and Ryan both were joined by Aaron Warburton of the Hunting Public, and we deep dive into this thing. We talk about every single aspect of this bow, why the Hunting Public wanted it the way they wanted it, why they like it the way it is. So I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in the Adapt, which I'm incredibly interested in the Adapt, if you're interested in the Adapt, just jump back to episode 106, Time to Adapt, and you'll hear every single detail you could ever hope to imagine about this bow. But Ryan, I do want you to give me kind of just a quick rundown of specs on this bow.
So I'll hit the specs, and then we kind of did this bow a little bit unique on the bow only, launched in July. So it's already out there, lots of good reviews. People are definitely liking it. The hunting public is already hunting with it and launching their content as it happens, which is great. But what we're doing here coming in this October is launching it in the RTH. So when we launched it early, we were only able to launch just the bow by itself, so you could put your own accessories on it. But then we wanted to keep with what we like to do here at Bear and offer some RTH items on that at a really good value. So the Adapt RTH will be available in October at that $559 MSRP. The specs on this bow are great. So it's 320 speed, 32 inches axle to axle, 3.5 brace height. So on this one, you would pick your set of limbs, 45 to 60 or 55 to 70. Your draw length, it has a big draw length range at 24 to 31 inches. So it should fit just about everybody. And then let off is 80% let off on this bow. So in that other podcast, we talked specifically, we picked that single cam because the hunting public, they want to be able to draw their bow pretty much everywhere. I joke with them, I was like, man, we almost designed this so you guys could draw this hanging upside down if you wanted to. Like they wanted this bow to be very huntable.
They would too.
They would. So I won't get deep into that since we did before, but we're excited that we're going to be able to offer this in the RTH. And the RTH will be available in a few more colors. So not just the throwback tan that most of the hunting public's using, but also in the Veil Whitetail, the True Timber Strata, and then a solid color in olive. So we're pretty excited about it. The only other thing I'd point out that I can't remember if I did in that podcast is we did join up with Onyx Maps too. So when you do buy one of these, you get a 3-month membership, which is a pretty cool deal that we've been able to do last couple of years, but we extended it to the Adapt.
Absolutely. One of my favorite questions I get asked every time after this episode, I'll get several emails. What are you going with? What bow are you going to be shooting? Which makes me happy because I'm like, man, people value, what I shoot. And so I can say this is one of the bows that I'll be shooting for 2023. It'll be equipped with a hot wire, a Sure Shot Pro, a Hitman 8-inch, and a hex light. And you say, well, what about the other accessories? We'll get there on the other bow and maybe why I choose the setups I do for each bow. But that right there will be one of the bows that I shoot this year. I'm incredibly excited. A single cam with 80% let off. The thing's a dream to shoot. An absolute dream to shoot. Now, one bow that I'm excited to look at is, well, I got to get past all these teasers. Give me a second. Is the Legend XR. Give us the breakdown on it.
All right. So Legend XR is new to the line. We are going to offer this in a bow only and an RTH. So this is in our Legend series line. So this bow is only available at dealers. The other bows that I just covered, being the Adapt and the Cruiser G3, those are offered everywhere. This is my exclusive series, so only at dealers. We're pretty excited about this bow. So before I hit the specs, I'll hit the price real quick. When you get to the bow only, it's $459, and then the RTH is $559. The RTH price, both of these prices are great, but the RTH with that extra value is just insane when I start to go over the specs of this bow.
You guys ain't hearing him. He just said $459 for this bow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dylan, it's a cheap bow. It can't do what I need it to do. Let me jump to this page real quick, the Alaskan. It's $529 for a Bear bow, and that's one of the greatest shooting bows of 2022. I promise. Listen, I got this comment today. They said, yeah, that's really good for the whitetail woods, but Dylan, I hunt in the back country. And I said, yeah, well, Chuck Adams just broke the world record 3 times in a month in Alaska with it. What do you want to do that it can't do? For 529 stinking bucks. You guys ain't hearing him. That's $559 for the Legend XR. And I promise you it's a shooter.
Yeah, I'll go through the specs, but I'm glad that you called it out to the Alaskan because we've already got quite a bit of that. So the cams are close, but they're just a little bit different. So on an Alaskan, that's what we call our DHC cam, which is a hybrid type cam. This is our DHC XR cam. So there's a little bit difference into that. So the speed on this is 320. The axle to axle on this bow is 32. So I think it fits just about perfect. Not too long, not too short. Your brace height is still 6.5. And then your draw weight on this bow goes from 14 to 70, and your draw length goes 18 to 31. Let off is 85. And the reason I slow down on those specs those are the game changer specs kind of in our mind. So having that super, super high let off at 85 on a bow that's this adjustable is a little bit unprecedented, definitely for us. And then what we really want people to understand is everybody loves the legit. That's great. This is the legit next level. This is kind of it.
Big brother.
It evolved. Yep. And it's mostly in that cam system. So this cam system really allows you to keep a good speed at 320, but have all that adjustment. Like, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I don't like saying this. You could probably buy this bow and keep it forever. You should buy a new bow every year, in my humble opinion. But you could probably get away with this one for a long time, even if you're still growing, kind of in the teens and 20s when you're still growing. The other thing that you had mentioned your wife. One thing we really like about this bow is you get some people, well, I like the legit, but I want something
100%.
a little bit nicer. So this gives you something nicer, but still gives you that ability to grow your strength. And what I mean by that is, so if you want to start at 25 or 30 pounds, I mean, really, you could, like I just said, you could go all the way down into that 18, 20. You can start it at 30 and then work your way up to your goal, whatever, 45, 50. Really easy, just changing the, screwing the limb bolts a little bit harder on this bow. So really easy to do. And then you would never really need to move up if you didn't want to. Then also on this bow, with that in mind, so we tried to offer a wide range of colors. So when you get in the bow only, you can get the Fredbear camo, the mossy oak bottomlands are throwback patterns, which would be the limbs being the throwback, and then green on the riser. And then when you get into the RTH, you can get into veil, whitetail, olive. And then we did an Inspire color that we also did on the legit a year ago, where it's black riser and then there's accents all over the bow in green, like green in a very vibrant, we call it electric blue.
Just like that prowess I just passed.
Yep. So it'd have the blue strings and a few other blue accents on it. Makes it look really good. The Quiver has blue accents. And then you can get a new stone color in this bow. We'll show a picture of a bow here in a little bit that shows that complete stone color, but it's kind of that new kind of off-looking gray color. It looks really sharp.
All right. It's time to get to the meat, the juice that everybody wants, the bow that everybody has been. I love when they post those, when they post the teaser graphics and you can kind of see the riser in the back and everybody's like, oh snap, it's a carbon bow. Oh crap, it's got a double glider twister slide on it. And like everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. This is the riser that everybody was trying to guess what it is. This is the one that everybody tuned in for. This is the flagship bow for the year, the Execute 30 and 32. Ryan can probably guess which bow I want to go with based off of what he knows I like. But walk me through the Execute and what real. Now, hold on. We have to hit this too. And I have to say something because I know I'm going to get emails, especially after the last comment I made about bows being affordable. I understand this bow's $1,200, and we're going to get into why here in a minute. But, well, I'll go on my rant after we go over the details. Ryan, what do we got in the Execute 30 and 32?
All right, so I'll kind of hit some of these at the same time, and then there's a few things that make these bows a little bit different. The axle, of course, is all in the riser. So what we wanted to do, though, when we were going to come out with a bow that was, I'm going to say it's drastically different than the Refine and the Status and the Redemption, kind of our last 3 years worth of flagships. This bow is so much different than those bows. So we wanted to make sure that we just kind of hit both popular axle to axles right out of the gate. So 32 is kind of the one that is kind of driving it right now, but there's still a strong amount of people that like those shorter bows. You mentioned whitetail hunting, things like that, whatever your reason. Sometimes ground blind hunters like a little bit tighter bow as well. So we gave you both options there. When it comes to specs, there isn't a bunch of change there. Your speed's going to be 340 speed. And then you can pick your axle to axle on the 30 or the 32. The brace height in this bow is 6.5 inches. And then our draw weight is either you go with your limbs at 45 to 60 or 55 to 70. And then when it comes to your draw length, you get a little bit different. On the 30 is 26 to 30 inches. On the 32, it's 26.5 to 30.5. So just a little bit of difference. And it's really based on, we're trying to optimize the performance of the cam on that riser. So that's why you see just a little bit of difference there. And then the let off, this is an EKO cam. So you're still getting to pick your own let off. So you can do the 75, 80, or 85. And I want to hit a little bit more on the cam before I cover everything else that's different on this. Is even though we kept the name of the cam, the EKO, we really kind of threw out our old EKO cam in a way on this bow and just reworked the cam. So the consistency and the value of this cam is just so much better. So we're seeing it be more consistent throughout your draw length, which was a goal that we had this year on this particular bow. We also, again, I talked about cosmetics on some of the other cams. We wanted to make it easier for people to adjust, since we're trying to get you to adjust your draw length however you want. So now we have markings on both sides of the cams, just some small things, but some of us kind of big bow tech type nerds, we like things like that. So just makes it a little bit easier. But so the cam is super exciting. Don't get me wrong, but what makes this bow so much different is we have got wider limbs on this bow than we've ever had at Bear. So it's so we went to a wider stance overall. So it has wider limbs now, a new pocket design for us with a different pivot point there you can see in the picture, and then also more laid back than we have been before. So I can tell you at Bear at this moment, this is the most laid back though that we have produced. So we're pretty excited about that. It really affects the balance of the bow. So making that wider, also laying it down a little bit more like we did there, and combined with our grip. So this features, just like our bows in the past, this features the Grizz grip we introduced last year, but we added a soft touch feature to it. So, which we did also add to the Adapt bow that I went over in July. But so that soft touch, we really like it on this bow. It just helps balance this bow. So it's not too much to where it wants to grip your palm or your hand, but it's just enough to where it doesn't really want to slide at all if you start to sweat or anything like that either. So we're pretty excited to see how people like that. Now we also include our Versa grip, which is a much slimmer grip. So if you like to shoot something to where you have less contact, we include that with this bow as well. So you can customize it the way you want to. But we've also changed our vibration dampening system in this bow. So we did change the name on that. It's our shock management system now. So you can see that we moved the placement even further into the riser there, or out, so to say, closer to the pocket. We also changed the material that we used in there. Didn't think, kind of a small change, a huge change when you shoot this bow. I mean, completely dead in your hand. There's multiple reasons for that. That shockwave system, that shock management system helps with that. The wider pocket, the way we've laid down the limbs, and then some people are going to notice right away in the picture is looks like we changed our roller guard system a little bit. We did. So we've allowed it to have some adjustment. So not that we recommend that you need to adjust it, should be coming adjusted right from your bow shop in the factory, but we've allowed it so you can have some micro adjustment there if you want. So just trying to, again, our theme is we want people to be able to adjust our bows to make them work best for them. And so we continue to add a few features each year on that.
Now, why might you adjust that?
So we could see you potentially adjusting that as, let's just say you bought a 70-pound bow and you wanted it at 55 pounds. So you were going to adjust the limb bolts out quite a bit. Then you might want to have just a little bit of adjustment there to push that, offset it back further, so to say. So far in most of our testing, we find that where we have it set from the factory is pretty optimal. We've found a couple times where you could tweak it a little bit, but we think we found the sweet spot for it right off the bat.
Now you'll notice pictured here in the main picture is that stone color. When was the last time stone? I think it was on. What was the last bow that I had stone on?
We've done an iron color in the past.
Iron. That's what it was called.
And iron it does look close to this, but this picture doesn't do it a ton of justice. It's like gray. I almost say like there's a bluish tint. I mean, there's not, but you can see it better in automobiles, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like that off gray color.
What bow was when was the last time it was on? It was stone.
I don't know when the last time we've done a stone bow.
Well, I have to look now. Now I have to find out. I know I've got pictures of it. Let's see. The only reason I say this is because it was one of my favorite colors ever on a bow. It was incredibly good. The Kuma had the iron, correct?
It did.
And that
we offered iron even last year.
Okay. Well, I had iron on my Kuma, and it was beautiful. I love the color of that bow. So that's something I'm excited about is that stone that stone color, because it's really eye appealing. Now, the reason I'm okay with this price, I gotta say this. The reason I'm okay with this price is because nobody whines and complains when other bow companies are making theirs bow $1,900, $1,800, $1,700. So why is it that when Bear makes a bow, and I promise you, listen, I challenge you to go out and shoot this bow and shoot all the other bows you want in the world. This bow right here will compete with any other bow on the market for 2023. So why is it that we gripe that Bear had to raise the price $200 to get it there? Because this bow is the bow that nobody can argue shoots just as good as every other bow on the market. So I would just challenge you. Don't let the price tag sway you. Don't get bitter and say Bear Archery was always the cheapest. Now they're up in their price. Just go shoot the bow, and I promise you it will compete with any other bow on the market, no matter the price tag.
And I will say to that, we're just going over the new stuff today primarily, right? But we still have the Refine in the line, which is at $999 price point. So we're making sure we're not leaving anybody out, right? So if your budget isn't for a $1,200 type bow, I mean, we still have the Refine in the line, the Alaskan you hit on. We have some great bows in our line, still great bang for your buck when it comes to, being under that $1,200 mark as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the most beautiful part about Bear Archery is they have a bow for everybody, a brand new bow for everybody that's going to perform. I can look at this catalog and go, oh, there's a new bow for my wife. Oh, there's a new bow for my kids. There's a new bow for me. There's a new bow for my father. There's a new, I can look at this and find a bow for everybody at every price point. And again, I can't even wrap my head around the fact that this bow right here, the Alaskan, costs $530. And it's one of the most, it's an absolute joy to shoot. It's one of the best shooting bows, in my opinion, of 2023. I had a friend call me and he said, dude, I'm about sick and tired of hearing you talk about the Alaskan. And I'm like, why? He said, because I just went into my bow shop. They don't know that I know you. They don't know they don't know who I am. And I said, what's the best bow for 2023 or for 2022? Any bow you've got, which bow should I buy? He said, they're a dealer for 6 different brands. And he picks up the stinking Alaskan. And I was like, gosh, dang it. He's like, Dylan was right. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, man.
No, that's been a great bow. We think there's a lot of speed in that bow for that price point.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal bow. Now, there is new things for Trophy Ridge. However, they were announced back at ATA. So if you're interested in hearing about the Trophy Ridge side of things, jump back to episode 79. We're with Andrew Hughes from Trophy Ridge, and we talk about all of the new Trophy Ridge accessories. We talk in depth about the digital React. We talk in depth about the shock stop and the Versalite. So if you're interested in hearing about any of those details on the new Trophy Ridge stuff, just jump back to episode 79, Tools Bow Hunters Trust, and tune in with me and Andrew, and we go over really in depth all of the details for the new Trophy Ridge stuff. All right, Ted, you're up, my friend. Because I'm incredibly, man, I saw this catalog and I jumped to page, I don't know what it is, 49 probably. I jumped to page 49 because I had to see what was going on with this bow. So we've still got the Fredbear takedown, but the big one for the year, I think, is the very next page. Here it is. Walk me through the Fred Eichler Signature Series.
All right, we'll start with the Fred Eichler Signature Series. As I said earlier in the podcast, I am only back for about 3 months, so I wish I could take some credit here on this. Really, this design was done with Fred Eichler and some of the engineers here.
You can take all the credit you want.
I could take very little credit, honestly. I'll try to take more credit than I should. But so it is a great bow. Fred is big on adjustability, making sure that you can tune this thing and adjust it to whoever wants to shoot it. And so some of the specs that you'll see there, this is a 17-inch riser. So it is 2 inches longer, or it's right in the middle of our A and B handle length. So, it's got the original Bear takedown limb pockets. So they do take the Fredbear takedown limbs. You can put a number 1 limb on there, get a 58-inch AMO. A number 2 limb would make a 60, and a number 3 would make a 62. We've got the strings for this on the website as well. Going back to the adjustability, we included a strike plate, an adjustable strike plate. We've also got some inserts that come along with this bow. There'll be 3 inserts. And really what that insert does is it changes the amount of contact that you have. It's going to change the radius of that shelf. It's not changing the height. It's just changing the radius. And that gives you more or less contact with the arrow. And again, this is just recommendations from Fred himself. This is things that people do. They put a toothpick on there, under the felt to get less contact with the arrow, things like that. So we're just making it a little easier for them to do that.
Now, why? So one question I get asked so much about traditional archery is why the A riser, why the B riser? You just said this one's right in the middle. What will the riser length really change on shooting a recurve?
I guess, it's just a preference thing. I would say for the most part, similar to, different people prefer different grip. Some people like a low wrist, some people like a high wrist. The length is going to change your string angles. It's going to do a lot of things. Some people like to shoot longbows. So it's really just a preference thing. This thing landed right in the middle. Again, that was directly from Fred. He liked something at that length. So that's kind of where we put it. And anything else, like I said, it's a matter of preference.
I personally believe that a longer riser, and again, Ted mentioned it perfectly, it's all personal preference. Nobody's going to be the same, but I personally believe a longer riser balances a bit better for me. I like the sight picture it offers maybe a bit better. It's going to stack in the limbs a little bit differently. So wherever you like, if you're shooting both bows are 60 inches and you're shooting a B handle with, that'd be number 1 limbs, right? Or you're shooting an A handle with number 3 limbs. They're both a 60-inch bow. They might just stack a little bit differently as you draw back, and different finger pressure. So it really does all come down to personal preference. Like you said, Fred likes a 17. So if it's good enough for Fred, it's good enough for me. That's what I say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've shot it. It shoots well. No complaints from me on how it feels, for sure.
I am so stinking excited. I can't even tell you how excited I am about this buckskin. It's one of the prettiest colors on planet Earth you could ever have on a recurve. It's beautiful. That is 100% the recurve I'll be shooting. I get that question maybe even more than compounds. What recurve you're going to be shooting? that's the absolute recurve I'm going to be shooting. I'll be shooting it with number 2 limbs, 60 inches, and probably a 50-pound limb. And I draw 28.5. Most of my bear bows at 28 inches. Most of them, I'm going to guess it'll be pulling around 51 and a half pounds. So that's the bow that I will 100% be shooting, because I've been excited about that bow for a long time. Now walk me through the interchangeable system. Now, if you jump back, it's a long time ago. I have to go back and look what episode it was. We had Fred on, and we talked about setting up a bow, and he talked about the toothpicks and or pieces of leather or whatever to raise that riser.
Mhm.
Now, the benefit of having less arrow contact is so extreme. Why might one not want the slimmest insert, if that's the word to use? They're the lowest point of contact insert.
That's a good question. Sorry.
I truly, I mean, again, I guess it's just a personal preference thing. But
Yeah, I agree.
would-
I think it has to do probably with, the spine of your arrows and just finding that sweet spot,
yeah. And that is kind of the draw, at least for myself. The beauty of traditional archery is that you can make whatever bow with whatever arrows and tinker with it and play with spines and play with your strike plates and your toothpicks. Now you don't have to play with toothpicks. Now you play with inserts, but you get to play with all that stuff to get a perfect arrow flight. And then when you get that arrow flight, it's like, holy crap, dude, look at that arrow go. So that's one of my draws. And this bow gives you more of an opportunity to do that with that insert system. So that is a phenomenally, I'm incredibly excited about that bow. Fred's been shooting it for what, a year now, 8 months maybe. Put down several animals with it, several beautiful animals with it. 2 bears there, you can see. But we got the mag riser still. There's nothing new in the mag riser, I don't believe, correct?
No. If you jump down to the Montana, that's kind of the next new thing. We've given the Montana a new look. We've gone with an Arctic gray. You can still get it in the black as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we've kind of grayed it out. We even came up with not really came up with, but we've put a gray and black twist string on there as well. And then we've even switched out that the medallion to a silver medallion. It looks really nice. It's the same makeup basically as the original Montana that we had out last year, just a slightly new look. It does come in the same sizes or the same draws, basically 30 to 60. We do have 3 left-handed options as well in 45, 50, and 55. It's got the same leather wrap on the handle. It's nice. It looks really good. I'm pretty proud of that one.
I meant to ask that. Jumping back up to the Fred Eichler signature, there's no grip for this bow, correct?
There is not, no.
Now, what I would do, again, personal preference, I know Eichler is the opposite. What I would do is I would wrap that in like a tennis racket tape. I like my bow. I like my hand to just stick when I hit it. Reason being is, last year I was hog hunting and it was like 95 degrees and I was pouring sweat, and I went to shoot a hog, and that bow, I was so sweaty, and on that metal, I took the rubber handle off my mag riser. It's hanging above my head. That's why I looked up. I took the rubber grip off my mag riser, and I was so sweaty that my palm just slipped right into there, and I was like, crap, like I literally had to let down and readjust my grip, and so that's what I do is I'll put some tennis racket tape on that just to get my palm to stick where I want it. I know Eichler's different. He wants that metal grip, which is again all personal preference, but
sure.
That's what I would do. So now one thing that has been out for a bit, but we haven't actually covered on the podcast yet, is the razor heads and the interchangeable system of these. Walk me through how the razor head works.
Yeah, so we've come up with a new razor head. It's very similar to the shape and design of the original razor head, just with a new technology twist. These are MIM'd 440C stainless. As you mentioned, they come with 3 just field points. Those field points can either be glued straight to the arrow shaft, or they can be used in an insert we've got 3 interchangeable inserts. They're all made with slightly different materials to give you different grains and different weights. So basically you can adjust this from 150 grains without an insert, just straight on the wood shaft, or you can go all the way up to 250 grains with the stainless steel inserts. They're all labeled nicely in the package, pretty self-explanatory on how to set that up. But yeah, that's it. We've got a single bevel and a double bevel head. Really sharp, nice finish on both of those, and we think they're going to do well. As you mentioned, the double bevel is available now. We're working on the grind on the single bevel, and those are wrapping up. Those are in production now, and we should see those in about the middle of October. Those will be in stock and be shipping.
Now, this is something, again, I love tinkering with my recurve, and this gives you the good ability to tinker without having to buy several different packs of broadheads. Yeah. To see what weight is going to fly best out of your broadhead or out of your bow. Now, I'll just go ahead and tell you, if it was on my Kodiak Hunter, I would be shooting a 200 grain aluminum with the aluminum insert on the single bevel. However, once I get the Fredbear signature riser, I'll shoot the single bevel. I really like a single bevel, but I'll play with the weights to see where those end up tuning best for my bow. I'm hoping the 200 grain, because I like running 75 grains in my outserts. That would put me at 275, which I really like being in that arena. But that's what the broadhead I will certainly be using out of my recurve. Now we've got the Kodiak Quick Disconnect Quiver. This quiver will work on any longbow, recurve, takedown, anything, any traditional bow you want to shoot. Walk me through kind of how it works.
Yeah, I like you said, I guess the theme this year is adjustability. Adjustability in the Eichler riser. Back to your comment about the leather tape or the tape. You start with the metal, and you can always add and make it accustomed to the shooter. Same with the rod head or the razor head. Tune it how you want it. And this is the same way. This head is a quick connect, this quiver is a quick connect quiver. It will go on any bow we have. It's got a unique mounting system. It's just a couple clips, slide over the limb and then attaches. It's highly adjustable. It'll hold 5 arrows. It's lightweight, soft grippers. It's a quiver, and it's a nice one.
Now, I'm excited about everything that is happening at Bear. The traditional side of things really gets me fired up because I'm a tinkerer. So stuff like this that I can tinker with and play with gets me really excited. That's kind of what I do in my free time, is I tinker with bows. I like, going down to the basement and just seeing if what happens if I change my weight to 300 out front? What happens if I move my knock point 1/8 of an inch up? What happens if I take off this? What happens if I try that? What happens if I really like tinkering with bows. So all of these, all the adjustability in the Fred Eichler Signature Series gets me fired up. All the adjustment in the razor head really gets me excited, so I can play around and see what's going to work best for my bow. Before we move on, I got to give a quick thank you to our friends over at Boning. Boning is your one-stop shop for everything you need to build your own arrows, all of the components and all of the tools you need to build your own arrows. They also have some incredible Fredbear branded products. So if you've looked at any of these bows and you've thought, man, that looks really cool in the Fredbear camo, they've got some Fredbear camo wraps to put on your arrows to match that bow and look really slick and really stellar. So I would highly encourage you to check out boning for all of their components, for all of their wraps and vanes, and for all of their tools to build your own arrows. Now, we've got, I think you said 4 new crossbows, which is just, it's outrageous to think, man, we've got 4 new compounds, 2 new recurves, 4 new crossbows. Everything's new. So let me see here. I'm going to stop right here, right? Yeah.
If you want to start down there at the Catalyst 420.
Okay, there we have it.
All right. So this is a Catalyst 420. This is a $399 price point. We're super happy with this. It's got adjustable stock, camo limbs. It's fully cocked at 13.5 inches. It's going to shoot 420 feet per second. I think we'll do well with that at $399. It's got just about everything you could ask for in a durable, lightweight crossbow. I would say that this year we've focused on making these lightweight, fast, and durable, and I think the product speaks for itself. If you get a chance to shoot one, I think you'll agree that these are really nice crossbows for the price. Go ahead.
I think it's the yes, the Constrictor Pro. Let's talk about the Constrictor Pro, and then we'll jump back a couple and look at the other two. I'm incredibly excited about the Constrictor Pro. I will order one of these for my dad. My dad, his shoulders have went bad. You guys have heard me tell the story before. I got him a crossbow for Christmas 2 years ago. Maybe it's 3 years ago, but anyways, just seeing my dad like a little kid on Christmas light up, not because I got him a crossbow, but because he was going to get the bow hunt again, just light up like a little kid. It was incredible. And so I will soon be upgrading his bow to the Constrictor Pro. I'm excited about it. Walk me through the details on it.
Sure. Yeah, the Constrictor Pro was actually kind of born from the Impact. It really has the same specs, and in a lot of ways, it's very similar. It's got the same stock, the same grip. It's got the same scope mount. We have actually taken the scope mount up a little bit. Originally on the Impact, we were using some higher scope mounts. And in this case, we've taken that back down, and then we've added a little height to the rail, not the rail, the trigger, the Picatinny rail on top of the trigger. And so in that sense, we've kind of eliminated some extra costs to get this price point down to $699. And we haven't really sacrificed any performance. It's still a very great performing bow. We've just taken out some of the little features that maybe added a little bit to the price point of the Impact. And we wanted to make this bow with the same specs available to everyone else that couldn't maybe necessarily buy a $1,200 crossbow. So that's where this was born. This does come in whitetail and true timber strata. It comes with a speed comp illuminated reticle scope, 4 arrows. It also has the highly adjustable quiver that mounts to the top. You can mount that on the left side or the right side of the bow. It also pivots on a swivel. So if you don't like the end of your bolts close to your face, you can shift it out or shift it in depending on where you would like that. Comes with a sling, just everything that a crossbow would come with. Wax, cocking sled, a manual cocking sled on this one. That was something that the Impact did have that this one doesn't. But again, it's a lot of the same features, just a little bit more affordable.
Now you just said it. My I said I'm getting this from my dad because he shot the Impact at a pro shop, fell in love with it, and he's an old school penny pincher. What I've got works. Why buy something new? And I'm like, Dad, that's why you shot a 1984 bow in 2016. But he's never going to upgrade his own bow, and so seeing how much he fell in love with the Impact, I'm not dropping $1,100 on the old man. So that's why I immediately jumped to the Constrictor Pro and thought, well, if he loved that bow so much, this is kind of the cheaper not lesser of a bow, but cheaper bow. And I feel like you'll still love it just as much. So if you have shot the Impact and you love it, which if you've shot it, you love it. So I don't know why I say that, but if you shot that bow and you just thought, man, but it's $1,100, I would encourage you to run out and shoot the Constrictor Pro. We've got the Constrictor Lt. What's the difference in the Constrictor Pro and the Constrictor Lt?
So the Constrictor Lt has actually been out a while. It's not new. I would say the major differences are the speed. One of them is a little bit slower. This one would be 415 versus 420 on the Constrictor Pro. We also went from a camo limb to a black limb on the Constrictor Lt. But really very, very similar. It's got the same stock, same scopes, but just some slight differences.
Now, these bows, you can get a really good picture here. That new stone on the Crossbows looks beautiful. So it's very, very appealing to look at. So I'm excited that stone color is offered on these bows. What do we got in the Domain 410?
Yeah, so the Domain and the Trance are very similar as well. They're basically the same crossbow with some slight differences. The Domain actually comes with a illuminated reticle. It's also a speed comp scope, so it can adjust for the different speeds of the arrows. Where the Trance is actually just a 4x32. The Domain is a 1.5 to 5x32 illuminated reticle adjustable scope. It also comes in the gray stone stock, if you will, with camo limbs, where the Trance is an all black crossbow and limb.
There you go. Now, that is just to sum it up. What other company in the world comes out with 4 new crossbows, 2 new traditional bows, and 4 new compounds in a year? Not many. That's phenomenal. And what I love most is they don't focus on one budget bow. They don't focus on one style of bow. Inside of their new compound lineup, you've got a bow for everyone, fitting everybody's needs, fitting what everybody wants, fitting what everybody's budget can afford. Same is true with the traditional side. You've got a new longbow and a new takedown recurve, hitting complete different spectrums. Most people that come out with a game-changing bow, like the Fred Eichler Signature Series or like the Execute, that's what they're going to focus on, and that's what they're going to come out with for the year. Not Bear Archery. They come out with something for everybody, and they make sure that everybody's going to be covered for the year. And that's what I absolutely love about this company. Ted, you're new here, man. One thing I'm going to spring on you. I ask every single one of my guests, why are you laughing, Ryan? Have you been thinking about one?
Oh, I've heard it a few times.
Have you been thinking about one for this one?
No, I like to do it on the fly.
There you go. So one thing that Ted, I ask every single one of my guests, Fred Bear is big on his field notes. What's one field note you've taken over the years? Something I can take, put in my back pocket and make myself a better hunter with. Maybe it's a field note on selecting a new bow. Maybe it's a field note on setting up a new bow. Whatever it might be. What is your one tip, your hunting 101 field note for us? Whichever one you want to go first.
I don't have anything great. I would say in my stage of life right now, I have 2 boys, and they both love to hunt. And, to me, that's, if you ever have the opportunity to take your kids, it's a way better, more fun experience than you'll ever have on your own. I really thoroughly enjoy taking them and watching them. My oldest son has shot a deer. My youngest is only 5. He is not, but he gets excited when he sees them. So yeah, I would say sharing just the hunting and the outdoor experiences is something that I would definitely recommend. I think it's enlightening. It out competes any hunt I've ever had on my own, I would say.
Yeah. I want to give you a tip on kids as well. I've got a 4-year-old boy, and this is the first year I'm going to take him out and let him sit in a blind with me. We went out turkey hunting a little bit together, and I really want to start getting him out to sit in a blind with me. So my first tip with taking a kid hunting is sit in a blind. You're going to cover up a lot of that movement that a kid's going to make. If you get up in a tree stand, it's hard for kids to stay still. Those deer are going to catch that movement. So if I get him in a ground blind, he can sit on the ground underneath the window, essentially, where the deer, he can do really whatever he wants and the deer can't see him down there. And then when the deer comes, I can say, hey, bub, stand up real slow, and look at these deer, whatever. So ground blinds are vital for starting to take kids hunting. And when you get in that ground blind, here's a tip. Take a weed eater with you. Weed eat the square where that ground blind is going to be sitting, and then rake that all out, because my son is going to be moving. Now he's got bare dirt to be moving on. There's no sticks. There's no leaves. He can literally sit down there and play in the dirt till his little heart's content. He's not going to make any noise. He's not going to be seen because he's underneath the windows. So my son can really do whatever he wants underneath those windows. So ground blinds, and then weed eat and rake out wherever that ground blind is going to be sitting. It'll make it dead quiet for you and your boy or your girl to sit in and hunt. That's my field note for you. Ryan, what do you got for me?
Well, now I don't know if I should say kid theme or not, but the first one that popped, no? Okay. Well, the first one that popped in my head was going to be about range finding. So, and the only reason I was going to bring this one up is so I'm like any other hunter, there's range finders that you can get in your binoculars or everywhere now, right? So I was on an elk hunt last year, and I can tell you I've started to become much more reliant on that rangefinder than I prefer myself to be. And particularly in an elk hunting type situation, there's a time where you don't get to range anymore, right? Where there's more eyeballs than you're used to looking at you, and you're like, oh, that sure seems like 38 yards, or is it? And so I would say my field note would be make sure you're still testing your own range. When I was younger, I would throw like a cube target out there and be like, okay, it's 22 yards. And then I'd shoot it, and then I'd range it and see if it was, right? And then, of course, as rangefinders became more and more available and more affordable, it's easier to be like, yep, it's 26 yards. I'm going to shoot at that. Then I'm going to move back and I range it again, and it's 29 yards. Definitely don't want to lose that art of being able to range on your own.
Now let me further that tip as well. I normally don't share a lot of tips. I let my guests do, but I've gotten a lot wiser in the last couple months, and I got to share some stuff. I don't care how good you are at judging distances in the field, if you live in the Midwest, or if you live in flat ground, or I live in Kansas and I can field judge all day long. When I get out to Idaho, Colorado, Utah, in the mountains, it's all different. And I'll be like, dude, that's 26 yards, range at 44. I'm like, whoa, okay, I was off. Everything looks different in the mountains. So when you get up there, don't just assume I'm really good at field judging distances. Start practicing the moment you get out of the truck. Start looking at stuff, saying, I bet that's 42, and then range find it and see. I almost guarantee you'll be off for the first few tries, maybe even the first day or so. But as the hunt goes on, you'll start realizing and being able to adjust in your mind. The only reason I shared that is because I just got back from Idaho, and it was like horrendous. It's like, dude, 26 yards, boom, 75. I'm like, okay, that sucked. It wasn't that bad. But that's just I would encourage you, if you change drastic elevation like that, and now all of a sudden you're looking at something straight up a hill, it's going to be different to judge that distance. So practice that as well. Before we go, quick shout out to our friends at Three Rivers Archery. They're your one-stop shop for all things traditional. So if you're a traditional archer, they have absolutely everything you need. The largest selection of in-stock traditional archery equipment in the United States of America with same-day shipping. They're also have legendary customer service with incredible knowledge. I call those guys all the time, and I'm like, hey, I just got a new bow. Can't get it to tune. What I need to do, I'm shooting this, that, and the other. And you can hear the guys in the back. It's like, it's Dylan again. I'm not getting it. And I'm like, well, I need help though. They have traditional equipment all day long that you need. So I would highly encourage you, if you're a traditional archer, to check out threeriversarchery.com. Gentlemen, from the bottom of my heart, I like to tell you guys this every year when I get you on for this episode. Good job. Phenomenal lineup this year. Nobody can shake a stick at this. Nobody can talk down on this lineup. You guys did a phenomenal job. I cannot wait to shoot it. I cannot wait to start hearing some of the responses from people who shoot it. So good job, Bear Archery. Guys, I would highly encourage you to go find these bows and start shooting them. Take the challenge. I promise you that Execute will perform with any bow you want to put it up against in the world. But go out and shoot these bows, try them out, figure out what's going to work for you. Listen, I've had guys call me and they're like, well, Dylan, the $520 Alaskan shot better for me than the $900 Refine. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of that's good. Buy that one. It's cheaper. So just because one's more expensive doesn't mean that's going to shoot best for you. So go out and shoot them all. Figure out which bow you like best. Figure out which bow shoots best for you. But guys, get out there. It is October 5th. So we are in the heart of deer season. As always, I want to share in your success with you. So shoot me over those pictures. I've been getting tons of encouraging emails from guys. I got some really encouraging emails off of our episode with Warren Holder on how to recover deer and how to process deer and how much that helped people. So guys, I want to hear those types of things. So make sure and shoot me over some emails at thehunting101podcast@gmail.com. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much for coming on. Again, good job on a phenomenal year for Bear Archery. Guys, thank you for listening. You guys have a great week and get out there and enjoy some hunting.